Welcome to the Vine Resources Podcast Show with your host, David Lawrence.
Welcome to another edition of the Vine Resources Podcast Show. Today, I'm delighted to have with me Niall Barton. Niall is the co-founder and CEO and now exec chairman, I know, of the company Wrisk Insurance. Niall, thanks so much for joining me.
Not at all, delighted to.
Niall, it would be great if we can perhaps share with our listeners just a little bit about yourself and the background of the company, if that's okay.
Sure. So I've been in the insurance business my whole career, which is it's been a really good career. But looking back at it in the customer experience, I was pretty embarrassed. And my sort of final days of being in the business, I thought there must be we must be able to do something better for customers. And seeing what was going on in the world of challenger banks and the experience that customers were getting through their mobiles, I thought let's try and do something about it. So it was all about assembling a really strong team of people, engineers, designers, backers, and getting on and do it, because pushing change in the insurance industry is difficult, but I guess because of the sort of vantage point I'd had of pushing change and in a company and at a market level, I thought I'm up for it. So we started just over 3 years ago, and raising money and assembling the team, and so I'm a Mr. Insurance guy, but sitting very much in a sort of effectively a technology business now.
Fantastic.
So that's Wrisk.
Yeah, fantastic. And for those listening, if you didn't know how that was spelt, that's Wrisk, and you can look at that at wrisk.co with a W at the front. Who came up with the name?
Me, yes. I did. I just wanted to play on the word. So, and actually that's been very effective. And in fact, I'm doing a sort of a series of articles now on LinkedIn with plays on that word. But it's been, it's sort of catchy. But it's a very serious business, as well as having a slightly sort of play on words name. It's been a good asset to have.
Fantastic. And I know you've got you've got the app, which is available in the iTunes, in the App Store. It's on Google Play as well. You have about over 35 people in the company and growing quite quickly. I'm just curious, what kind of if you can share this information, what kind of typical customer is using your service now?
No, fair question. So we started, actually insurance is quite a complex topic. And so we started with the sort of simplest area, which was contents insurance for renters. So end to end, built that, launched it on the App Store, great reviews. If you go and look at that, you wouldn't imagine it was an insurance app. But that's not the end game for us. Really what we found pretty quickly was B2C is really not for us. It's very expensive in insurance just that's not how we chose to distribute it. So we're a B2B2C firm. Our first main client is BMW. So we're working with corporates who want to bring, radically different insurance solutions to their own customers. And also they've got the brand to be able to attract customers. So with them, we're also about to launch a product with RAC. And we have a number of other large corporates who we're in discussions with. So, yes, the app in the App Store is what you'll see first, but it's our motor products which we'll be launching, in the fourth quarter of this year. That's going to really, I think, really catch people's, catch people's eye. But it's a multi-product personal lines insurance. So all of your insurance is in one place, through one platform.
Yeah, and I can see it on my app easily as well, which is obviously still a big problem in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
And what about what does just jumping into the questions now? What does a typical day now look like in the business for you now?
Well, it's rather topical because I about a few weeks ago actually did a switch with one of my senior colleagues. So I'm becoming executive chairman. He's stepping up to become CEO. And that was really born out of, I got it going from the start, raised most of the money, find a lot of the people, but really to scale a business, it's a technology business. I'm an insurance guy. I wanted to hand the reins on to somebody who's had more experience in that area. So Nimesh Patel, who's been here from the earliest days as an investor, background in AOL, Drawbridge, BuzzFeed. He's better equipped than I. So it was, and I'll work, as I said to him, I'll be working probably harder every day than I have been to now. But I'll be able to focus on really bringing in the large clients, looking at overseas development, bringing in large investors and working with him. So that change means my change in daily routines a bit different. It's pretty new. Actually, I walk into work every day from Waterloo to Shoreditch for about 40 minutes, and that's my almost the best time of the day to clear my head, think about things for the day. But it's more about going out and hunting for these big new prizes rather than regular daily meetings, which is what Nimesh will be doing. So it's a newish routine for me, and I'm rather enjoying it.
Fantastic! Really pleased to hear that exciting transformation in the business for you. Can you name perhaps a person who's impacted you as a leader? I mean, obviously you've had a lot of experience in business, but how have they impacted your life so far?
Okay, I guess I picked two. One, a guy who set up a business, and I worked from the earliest days, had to invest in, which was my colleague David Mann, who set up a syndicate at Lloyd's, and he was a very inspirational, still is, very inspirational person, a real enabler of people, allowed them to experiment. We were allowed, we did some quite left field things for an insurance business at the time in Lloyd's, and it left its mark on everybody who worked there. So I'd have to put him as a strong influence, and part of working with him is we actually sold the business to Berkshire Hathaway. So we spent a little while working as part of Warren Buffett's business. We got him over to London to explain, what the whole Berkshire philosophy, and some of his wisdom. It's real. It's hearing him firsthand and listening to some of his beliefs and reading about them was, I think, a strong influence for me. So, I'd pick those two.
Brilliant. What was the one takeaway from your engagement with Warren Buffett that you could share?
One of the ones which I like most is that when we were bought, there was a very complex profit sharing scheme that was devised, and it was taken to him. And he said, "Look, I'm not going to contribute to this discussion because you know it well. There's no point in adding anything and speaking up unless you've really got something to add." And that rings true often when I, sit in at a meeting and just everybody's on transmit, and you should just listen and let the people who, often who know the topic best, and just trust them. So that's probably the most lasting piece of advice I took away from Mr. B.
Now, you just said there that you obviously founded the company. You had to raise the money. You had to get these great people. What have you done from the top to keep your employees engaged?
I think there's quite a lot of having to sort of basically take the strain. I mean, Darius Kumar, who's my co-founder, who's done a brilliant job at shaping the product and finding some of the real talent. But I think he's just a brilliant product designer, and he hadn't had experience in raising finance. And I would like to think I've been able to take some of the strain away from him. It's not. I don't want people to worry too much about some of the day-to-day goings on. I remember another senior employee said, "Look, Niall, you don't need to keep us informed on everything. I don't want to see every bump in the road. If you can take some of the strain on that, let us get on with what we're good at." So I feel that's something at the top that we have to do. So a bit of that, obviously one-to-ones with people as it goes through, and a little bit of making sure that you're cutting cutting through the red tape. So it's insurance businesses can become so over-engineered and driven by process, and I think we'll be stronger as an insurtech business for sort of breaking the mold wherever possible. And that's what people want us to do. So I think I have to fly the flag and be the guardian of just being a little bit impudent and, occasionally at just pushing change and testing the norm. I think that's part of our job. So
that's fantastic. And just talking about that, you said that perhaps that entrepreneurial spirit. Do you see that the challenges were maybe with the legacy of the incumbent players, that with the risk and compliance, that it stifles that innovation sometimes?
Very much so, and I, that's not their fault. It's just the way the system's grown. But I mean, that's why they're buying into collaborating with us. I mean, the brilliant thing about, I think, our sector versus other sectors where technology is the sort of the new force is that we're absolutely collaborating with incumbents. Hence, working with BMW and some of these large corporates. So, yes, we could work with some snazzy new bank with a digital bank, but actually, it's the old businesses that have high, most of the customers, and so and it's the old insurers that have a high percentage of the customers, and so we'll be working actively with them, but we have to resist not slipping into their habits, and we have to. They want us to be nimble, agile, and provocative at times. So that balance of working in a regulated environment and yet wanting to push change is not an easy one to always navigate. But that's but being that as it said, it's not, there aren't 1,000,001 insurtechs really forming in this area because it's really hard to do. It takes quite a lot of funding, respect from major insurers. So it's hard. It's really hard to do this.
What do you think is the biggest challenge then facing business leaders today?
So many, but I mean, I think one of the things is this sort of hyper expectation from people that you've got to be, a unicorn. So hyper expectation means hyper. You've got to have hyper growth. You've got to have that almost causes sort of hyperventilation amongst staff and hyper burnout. I mean, I think part of a job as a leader is not to. I mean, yes, we all want to be, successful and very successful, but it is, there's a sort of generation that's brought up to think, unless you're reaching, Amazon type growth levels, or that you're in the second division. So that's coming from, some VCs as well as from, some observers, and I don't think that's sustainable, and I don't think everything is a winner-takes-all, outcome. And certainly in banking and insurance, I do not see it as winner-takes-all territory. So I see managing expectations is I think is a big thing that we have to do, amongst the many other challenges out there.
What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received, apart from that one from Mr. Buffett?
I was thinking about that, and I actually came. It wasn't a piece of business advice, but I was talking to a guy I do business with this morning, and we were talking about the bits of advice we'd given each other. And he said, "Do you know what the best bit of advice you gave me now?" And I still remember it. I'd actually forgotten it. It was actually about, in a family contest, about bringing up one's children. And I'd said, look, I was given this piece of advice by a wonderful South African guy, and he said, look, treat your children as peaches, and they need to be on the mantelpiece in the sun to ripen on their own. If you keep pressing them and pushing them, they'll bruise. So just let them ripen in their own time, because they don't all ripen at the same time. And I just, it was only because of that came up this morning, I thought, gosh, that was actually it's a very sound piece of advice. You could maybe apply it to colleagues as well. But I
like that. I'm going to think about that for my own children as well.
I know, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What excites you in your industry right now?
I think there is a real momentum for change, and I've been involved in change efforts in the London insurance market for years, and stalls, and then the market's littered with with examples that just haven't worked. But I really do feel there's a global momentum for change in the insurance industry, but there's also a great spirit of collaboration to achieve it. It's not. Everybody wants a bit of it now. Different people are waking up to it more faster than others. But technology, it's just there are so many people employed in insurance, and frankly, there won't be as many in the next 10 years. And there are a lot of people who have paid a lot of money in insurance, and I just don't feel that that's going to be quite the same in the next 10 years. And it's been a golden period, but I think the forces of technology are really, marching upon, this sector. And I think it's, as I say, it's in collaboration. Most people in insurers, they want it to change. They love it to. I've had lots of people say, gosh, I wish I was in your space because you've got a clean sheet of paper. But I go, yeah, but you've got the customers. So it's, but I think there is a really good energy for a change now. And so that's the thing that excites me the most, is that almost to a man there's an appetite for change.
Now, I'm glad you brought up a little earlier about that hyper-growth, hyperventilation, going back to well-being. What do you do to help your employees improve and keep their well-being?
I think it's much more than just sort of, some of the things you see visibly, the beanbags, the table football, and all that sort of stuff. I think it's giving them a trusting environment, supporting environment where they can learn. I think displaying balance as a leader, that one's not working all hours and yet one is prepared to put the hours in, at an evening or a weekend if you need to, but also equally slipping off, away from work back to your family, when you can. So I think it's leading by example, brutally, rather than just any particular techniques. I'm sure some of giving people, extra days off and all these things are all nice to have, but I think it's the environment that they operate in. People choose to work somewhere where they're learning and they're trusted and being supporting each other. I think that'll take away some of that hypertension, hyper expectation, because it is, we are working in a pretty high, octane environment. But I think it's about the spirit and the tone of the place, rather than sort of actual, some specific, benefits that you give people.
Yeah, sure. What is there a story perhaps that you've got from your childhood that actually really influenced your work ethic in earlier life that you could share?
I guess I'd say two things. Ironically, I have a signet ring, a family signet ring, and on it is the word perseverante, perseverance, and that's, it was just it was almost, that's interesting. And actually, it is. So any new business, my God, you've got to have perseverance, you've got to have stamina. So I think there's a bit of that. So that's from my sort of earliest days in my family. But the other thing I think, and I say this to any sort of younger person who's coming out of education, going into employment, is that actually business etiquette and manners are so valued. If you're running late for a meeting and you text the person to say, I'm running late, if you say that somebody's put themselves out and you thank them, all of those things, which, hopefully, I was fortunate enough to get those at home drummed in, but my God, in a commercial context, somebody stands out if they're able to display, in whatever pressure they're under, if they're able to display, manners and etiquette, I think that sends a strong signal that they're in control and that, they're valued. So I'd say, it sounds a boring word, but I'd say manners or etiquette are just really, really valuable tool that I was given.
Well, that's great, and thanks for sharing that. It's a reminder for everyone as well. What do you think your industry is going to look like in 5 years' time? You alluded to it a little bit earlier, and how will that impact your business model, do you think?
I think, I'd love to say in 5 years' time it'll change dramatically. 5 years is is not long in insurance. So I think we'll see better customer experiences. So for insurers, for people, in terms of buying insurance and managing their insurance. I think we'll definitely see a better customer experience, but I think it's going to take 10 to 15 years for significant economic changes in terms of the amount of money that gets spent in insurance that isn't spent on claims, on distribution and on operating costs, which are way too high. And I think some of the more radical things, in terms of things like smart contracts, are a way off, unfortunately. So I think, yes, some good improvements in 5 years' time, but realistically, the insurance sector moves slow, even with the sort of push from InsurTech. So I'd say, significant economic change is only going to be sort of 10 to 15 years.
If you had, as a final question, if you had your time again, and you've given us so much great advice today, by the way, and insight, so thanks, Niall. If you had your time again, and you're giving your 20-year-old self a piece of advice, what's the one thing you'd say now?
I'd say get out there and experiment more. I didn't, and I wish I had it. And if you told me, 20 years ago that I'd be setting up an InsurTech and basically hiring engineers and designers, I'd have said, you're smoking stuff. This is never going to happen to me. So you never know what's going to happen out there. So I'd say get out there, experiment more. Also, be prepared to fail. My last business failed. It was an incredibly painful experience, but I learned from it. I had a young guy who came the other day, and he came and had a chat. And I said, well, what are you looking for? And he said, one of the things is that, I definitely want to work for a business and some people who failed before. I went, wow, that would never have been said 10 years ago. So I'd be prepared to fail, take experiments, get out there and try a lot of different things. Is what I'd say now.
Fantastic. Now, thanks for joining me and thanks for sharing. If
Sure.
people want to find out more about the company, connect with you, reach out to you, what's the best way they can do that?
Just contact me at Niall, Niall at Wrisk, WRISK.co. Delighted to help.
Thank you very much, and thanks so much for joining me.
Not at all. Thanks so much.
We really hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you want to listen to more exclusive tips and life lessons from our guest, go to the resources page at vineresources.com.